All right, so we'll go ahead and get started here. I'd like to welcome you all to our February 3rd Thursday training. I'm Heidi Garvin. I do some program service consulting for Grow, Nebraska, and part of my job is to facilitate training opportunities like this. So for those of you who don't know, Grow, Nebraska is a nonprofit that's focused on helping you make a sustainable living in anywhere in Nebraska. We do this through promotion, market access, and educational opportunities like this one. So if you have any questions about membership or about our program, I will be sending out my contact information and general program contact information after the call. So you will be getting that. These trainings, as you know, this training is free, and we would not be able to keep these trainings free without help from our sponsors. So we are giving a big shout out to the local food promotion program of the Agricultural Marketing Service. It's a part of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they are sponsoring this call today. So we like to keep these free and open to the public, and we have one every month. So if you are interested in learning about more, you can visit our website or contact me. So now I get to go ahead and introduce our wonderful speaker for the day. We have Kendall Comstock from BCom Solutions. I've had the pleasure of working with her, and BCom Solutions also does the Grow Nebraska website. So Kendall, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Heidi. My name is Kendall Comstock. Office is based out of Nebraska, so very southeast corner, if anybody's familiar with that. We offer digital marketing solutions, but also some technology-based solutions as well. We do have a full-time or full design team on our staff, so we have graphic designer and photographer, and as well as a couple website designers and developers. My role with our company is project manager and client relations. So you're not speaking or hearing from the most technical person on our team, but I also have a hand in every aspect of the design process, the development process, and then also a lot of graphic design items and social media marketing. So I know that we had people show interest in a little bit of all those things I just named. So I will try to answer questions throughout in regards to those topics. Feel free to jump at any time and ask questions as we go here, or I'll give you guys an opportunity. I did a Google Slides presentation. People have them.
Kendall, you are cutting in and out a little bit, just so that you know.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yep.
Okay. Let me know if you can't hear me for some reason, too. Somebody shout at me. So does everybody have my slide presentation available?
Joseph Torrey.
You came out a little bit. I did send out the slides to everybody yesterday. Did anybody not get those? Resend them.
Did you? Okay, so you emailed them to us?
Yep, they should all be emailed to you.
Well, for those of you that do have it, I'll go ahead and start, and you can follow along with it. If you don't have it, access to the presentation, that's fine as well. I'll pretty much cover everything. Heidi, can you still hear me okay?
Now I can, yes.
No, you can't?
I can, so
okay,
now.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. All right, well, I know that the topic of this presentation, kind of the things we'll cover today is ways that you can improve your existing website, and then also if you choose to do a website design with a designer developer, how to maintain a healthy relationship with that designer. And then the last thing on my list today is kind of new design trends in 2016 that you may or may not set to use. So
Judy, go.
Perfect. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start with items that, or ways you can improve your existing site. This list consists of things that you may or may not. I'm not sure how much design and how much design expertise or how many you know to make site changes. So my list is pretty basic for those of you that know minimal things about websites and how to change them. The first item on the list is to keep your content as concise and to plain and straightforward as possible. People viewing web pages have a pretty strict attention span, so making it so that your content is easy to skim, but also gets the point across or the call to action across the trying to achieve through your web page. Cutting things like spelling out numbers instead of, or using the number digits instead of spelling out now. For instance, 1,000 you would put 1000.
Excuse me, you are cutting out, so I cannot understand it. I'm sorry.
You guys can't hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but you're cutting out.
It's like talking in strobe.
Really? Let me think. Maybe if I call in with a different phone, will I still be able to...
It might help if everybody mutes their phone so it's not... so there's no other background sound, and sometimes that causes
that's kind of distracting me too. So if we can mute them, and then what were you gonna say?
Do you want to try calling in from a different phone, Kendall?
Yep, I can try that and see if that fixed the issue.
Okay, we'll
Give
take
me a second here.
Yep.
Okay.
I know we had a couple other folks chime in after we did the introductions. If we want to go around and...
Yes, my name is Lisa Nielsen.
Perfect. And you're with which company?
Well, I'm self-employed, and but my husband has violent talk. I'm kind of just curious about how to get started, and I'm going to mute my phone, so, okay?
Perfect. Perfect. And who else do we have join us? Joseph, I think you came on.
Yeah, Joseph Torrey from Alma, and I'm also self-employed. We have a coffee house and a print shop here.
Kendall Comstock. Is that better, Heidi?
That is much better.
Okay, perfect. And like somebody said, if everybody can mute their phones as well to reduce background noise, that would be also really, really helpful. Perfect. Okay. Well, I will pick back up where I kind of left off was I was talking about improvements that you can make to your existing site. One thing I always point out to any organization or company when they're looking at their website is the content that you have on your current site achieving your goals or the purpose of your website? And if it's not, then that's when you need to really take a look at all, your content, your text, your images, and decide what you really, what's really important for your customers or clients to see. This can be, whether your mission statement is where you want it to be, or what kind of story you want to tell through your website. So that's always a good starting place when trying to improve your site. To go along with that, the format of that content is also really important. Using enough space so it's not all smashed together, using headings appropriately, using bulleted lists and other text formatting when it's when you see necessary. So those are all really easy ways that anybody can go into your site and make improvements. Another thing I always recommend, if you haven't already, is setting your site up for Google Analytics so that you can track the traffic on your site and see how people are interacting, what they're looking at the most, what they're not looking at. And so you can really tell what kind of content people are coming to your site to find. So that can really help you decide what content you want to leave on your site and what can possibly be taken down or improved. So that's kind of my overview of things that you can do by yourself. Does anybody have any questions at this point? All right, then I will just keep on going. The next thing I wanted to discuss today was when you are ready for a new website redesign, what kind of things do you need to keep in mind when you're working with a web designer? This is the best part of my job and the worst part of my job, because sometimes people don't think about these items on my list of things that are kind of required or the client needs to think about when they're working with a web designer. The first thing is that you really need to assess your cost versus value. People don't understand that you need to decide, am I willing to pay X amount of money to have a website redesign? Is it really going to achieve the goals of our company or organization? What's the function of the site going to be, and is it worth the cost that we're going to pay for it? So that is always the first conversation I have with clients is this really going to be beneficial to your business? And then the next thing is that a lot of clients don't understand that, they don't say, hey, redesign my website, and then the web designer does it and magically it appears and it's exactly what they were imagined. It's a lot of take and give as far as the role of the client versus the role of the web designer. With our company, kind of the things that are considered the role of the client is it's always great to have one designated person within that company or organization for the web designer to work with. So that's the first step of, designating somebody within your organization to be the team lead that works directly with the web designer, is the point of contact, is the one that's providing feedback or approval or providing comments on design layouts or whatever it is that they're asking for. The next thing is to write your content early, and that goes back to, the do-it-yourself part of this presentation, that you don't know what kind of you need to know what kind of content you want to put on the site before you start designing it, because that's going to be the center of what this web design is going to look like. So do that early. Don't wait until the very last minute. That's my biggest, I cannot stress that enough, that, you need to have photos and graphics and mission statements and all of that put together beforehand so that it really makes the web design process go a lot more smoothly. And that's also kind of your homework for the project that you have due to the designer. The last thing is patience is very, very key, as far as but every once in a while an issue comes up and the web designer needs some tech support and takes a little bit of time to figure it out and get it the way you want it to look. So it's important not to get frustrated and to work with your designer to really find the solution in the design that you're wanting to look for. And then for those of you following along with the slides, we are going to move on to the design trend 2016 and what things you should be looking for and what kind of things designs you should be citing for to keep your website up to date. The first thing is the new design trend of this year is dramatic typography. And this is something that, goes back to things you can do yourself, really take a look at the fonts and styles and sizes of the typography you have on your site, and that's something you can change yourself if you wish to do so. That's the first one. And then the next one is 80s color schemes and elements. An important thing to think about when I saw that this was one of the trends of this year is I'm sure a lot of you already have branding done for your company or organization. And so I'm not suggesting you completely change your color scheme and your branding of your company to fit these crazy 80s color schemes. But it's fun to incorporate bits and pieces of it as long as it goes along with your company's brand and you're still keeping it consistent throughout your site. So keep that in mind. An example of that would be, this presentation I'm showing you. You can see that our company's colors are green and blue and gray, and so we're still keeping a consistent brand, even though we're incorporating other colors and color schemes in there as well. The next item on this list is experimental navigation in menus. You want to make sure, there's all sorts of new ways to navigate sites. There's hamburger menus, there's other cool ways to display your menu items, but you also want to keep in mind that you want your site to be easily navigated. Otherwise, people aren't going to find the content that you want to get out there. So although this is a cool new design trend, you also want to make sure that you're keeping it easy to navigate as well. And then the last design trend I have on this presentation is flat design. And this is something that you would probably require some help from a graphic designer to, sorry, I keep hitting my keypad. If you want to bring in a graphic designer and get some really cool design elements, this kind of portrays, some flat design elements using shadows, using vibrant colors, which goes back to those 80s color trends, but also creates a unique texture element to your website. So those are all the design trends on here. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Cool. Okay. Well, Heidi did send me some questions ahead of time, and I wanted to leave plenty of time to discuss these things since these are items that somebody on this call had requested to discuss. And so the first one that I received ahead of time was how to start a website inexpensively, and that is definitely the question of the hour. A lot of people come into our office and want that quick and easy solution to get an inexpensive site up and going. There are several free solutions out there that, like I said, the quick and easy solutions for you to build a site on your own, get it going very cost effectively. However, we always suggest using a content management system. Something like WordPress is what we usually direct people towards. The benefit of doing that versus, doing a Wix or Squarespace or Weebly site is you have complete ownership over the site, and then it also gives you the ability to expand that site as your business grows. So that's always the benefit and the reason we suggest using a WordPress site, and that's typically what our company builds sites within. There's also ways that you can build your own website or your own WordPress website in a very cost-effective way. WordPress is free to use, and there's tons of free tutorials out there and free themes out there that you can use. So it's not terribly difficult to get one of those going without a lot of previous experience, just because there is so many resources out there for you to learn as you go. And then of course there's companies like our company and other companies across the state that would definitely be willing to assist you as well if you get stuck or have some there's something that you're in over your head on and you need just somebody to fix that part of the site for you. So that's my best answer on how to get an inexpensive website. The next question I got was what ways to keep
May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Joseph Torrey, and you indicated that we could design a WordPress site ourselves, and I looked into that a little bit. Do they require you to upload to their specified servers, or are we allowed to upload it to our existing server?
As far as hosting, or what do you mean?
Yeah, forgive me, I don't know all the terminology, but I believe it would be hosting the site then, because we currently. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead and finish your thought there, so that I think where you're going.
Well,
with
we're currently with one particular host site, and then when I looked at the WordPress, it was we could design it online with them, but they were trying to sell us their hosting services.
Yeah, and you can host those sites with whatever web host or web server you want to. Basically anything that any site that you're trying to build a site on is going to try to sell you it internally, but you can choose to host that site wherever.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Can I ask you a quick question as well? When you refer to WordPress, are you talking about WordPress.com or WordPress.org? Like, which would be the best one for kind of a novice / maybe intermediate user?
I've never even thought about that when I looked into it. It looks like it's .com.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right. And so then the next question I had received ahead of time was, what ways can you keep your customers involved and engaged in your social media? And I believe that was that, who did I get that from? Was that you, Kaylee, that sent that in? The gal from Down?
Yes, that was my question.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, there's a ton of information out there. But we do manage a number of organizations, cities, small business social media here in Southeast Nebraska. And there is a ton of information out there, and I can definitely connect with you afterwards, Kaylee, on kind of the best practices of engaging people on social media. Some of the things that I always recommend is, there's no point in having a Facebook page or whatever social media outlet you choose. There's no point in having it out there for an organization unless you are active on it. So that means posting on Facebook 2 to 3 times a week, tagging other organizations or groups or people or whatever so that you're really creating that interaction. I would suggest tweeting daily if possible, and again, tagging, hashtagging, using trending hashtags, retweeting is another big way to gain interaction. And so there's definitely ways to get people involved in talking about your organization through social media. Another thing that we've done a lot of is using social media for doing contests, whether it's a giveaway or just asking a questionnaire type of thing or anything like that. You don't even have to be giving something away to do this, but getting people to comment, share your post, like your post, anything like that is going to reach more people. There are tons of tools out there that you can schedule your posts ahead of time, so that I know a lot of people say, I'm not on Facebook every day, so how am I going to post every day? And so there's a ton of tools out there that you can schedule your posts ahead of time so that you don't have to think about it every day, what am I going to post today? So that's another thing that you can think about using. And then last thing, there's a lot of research out there and resources out there that talks about what time of the day is best to post on Facebook and what time of the day is best to tweet, or what time of the day is best to post your blog. And so I would definitely look into that, because I know, the noon hour is always great to post things, because that's when people are checking their emails and looking at social media while they're eating their lunch. And then again from that, 5 to 7 o'clock when people are getting home from work and winding down for the day and checking their social media again. So that's another great way to create interaction and make sure that people are reaching your social media post is by posting when people are looking.
Yeah. I know that was one of the things that I've been looking into, is what time of the day to really reach those people. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Kendall, how important would you say it is to integrate your social media with your website?
That's a good question. Is this Heidi?
Mm-hmm.
Is that who asked? Okay. I think I always suggest it. And again, I think that your analytics can show if that's actually driving results. And I think it kind of comes down to how active your social media actually is and how well you promote it, whether it's actually that beneficial or not to have it on your website. I think it's a good place to start, and vice versa, to have your website on your social media pages, because it's an equal driver to get people either from your website to Facebook or from Facebook to your website. So I think it's definitely important to have it on there, but it depends on how you use it, how effective it's going to be. Anybody else have questions about social media? And Kaylee, I have my email here on the last slide here, and you can definitely shoot me more questions, or if you need some resources that are referred to, you can definitely send me a message.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The last question I had, one of the last questions I had ahead of time was if we have a problem with website hacking, and if not, what do we do to prevent people from hacking into our websites? Fortunately, no, we have not had issues, knock on wood, that with people hacking into the websites that we work on. While we do take a lot of steps, and I'm going to give you some steps to avoid hacking, hacking is not 100% preventable, but we do take a lot of steps to try to refrain from that. So I have these steps on the presentation if anybody's following along, but I'll kind of just run through them real quick here. One of the biggest things, especially in WordPress, is
Kendall, it's getting hard to hear you again.
Thanks, Heidi. How about now?
Much better.
Okay, perfect. The first step that we have here as far as avoiding people from hacking your site is to make a unique username and password. Like it says on this example here, is on WordPress sites, admin is like the default setting for a username in WordPress, and so that's automatically what hackers are going to be trying first and kind of going from there. So when you do start a WordPress website, that's one of the first things you should probably change, is make a unique username, and then also have a strong password. The next thing is we were just talking about your web server and your host, and so making sure that your web host is a reputable company or server, and making sure that they're keeping your files protected. The next thing is keep your plugins and your content management system versions up to date. There's constantly new versions of plugins and new versions coming out, and so making sure that you're updating those to make sure that your site is as protected as it can be. And that kind of goes along with if you are using WordPress, they do have security plugins available, and I'm sure other content management systems have them as well. So that's another thing you can do to prevent hacking. And the last thing is to always keep a backup file of your website, so that if you, in the case that you do, or the instance that you do get hacked, you do have a backup file to restore your site back to. So that is the last question I had ahead of time that I could answer real quickly. I know that there was a couple others that got sent ahead of time, and I plan to just reach out to those people individually for time's sake. So right now I'd like to open it up to anybody else that has questions.
Would you be willing to email us the presentation slides, or at least your or a portion of it?
If you didn't get it already, sorry, this is Heidi. I will actually be resending it after the call, along with a survey and the recording.
I got a link to the online presentation. Will that be available for future reference?
Yes, I think that I'll leave that slide up or that link to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. This is Sammy Johnson.
Okay.
Social media packaging, do you do that, like with your website and Facebook and all their other stuff?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you very well.
Oh, yes. I was wondering, do you do a package like a social media packaging? Like when you do your websites, then do you do their Facebook and their Twitter and all their other stuff, or do you just say, here's your website?
Do you mean as far as setting them up, or as far as managing and posting for those clients?
Yeah, managing them, because I've had a lot of requests to do that, but I don't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah, so we do have a monthly social media option where clients we put for them depending on what social media outlets they use. And then we manage those pages for them. We post, like I said, 2, 3, 4 times a week on each of them. We create graphics that go on them for them. Kind of just depends on where they're located, what their product is, or what kind of organization they are. But yes, that's definitely a service we offer.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Stephanie?
How much would a website actually cost normally? Or can you give me an average price range to hire a web producer or designer?
Yeah.
Or I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the roundabout way to say is, it really comes down to what you're trying to accomplish with your website, whether there's you're trying to sell things, or if you're just trying to get information out there, if there's a client portal for people to log in, or there's so many different options out there and different features out there. So it's hard for me to give just one set price, and it also kind of depends on if you're using our company or a company out of someplace else in Nebraska, or companies vary. But we design websites from $2,000 to $20,000 and beyond. So it kind of just depends on what you're looking for.
Okay, thanks. This gives me a full
I'm always
range.
hesitant. I know that's
right.
a huge range, but I'm always hesitant to tell people a number because, I have no idea until we sit down and actually have a consultation about what you're looking for. I have no idea what kind of project we're looking at.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is Janelle with Grow Nebraska, and that's one of the benefits that we do for our members. We have a number of companies such as BCom that do website development. We will provide you that list and also help you get through your bid. But Kendall's exactly right. It depends on if you want just a brochure site or how intense you want to build your site. So that is something that we do as an organization. We try to help our members.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And and this industry is always changing so much that, and I've learned so much since I've started working with BCom, is that, when I first started working here 2 years ago, when somebody would call me, the first thing I would say is, we do not build sites for under $1,000. And I feel like since then that number's gone up a little bit, but there's also, like Janelle said, there's the portfolio sites, the one-page sites that, aren't going to cost as much. And so it just really depends on the client.
I do have a question.
Okay.
This is Lisa Nielsen.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I'm comfortable doing website, maybe design or control, like through WordPress, for my own business. But my husband has a business. He's third generation, and I had to buy him an answering machine, if you can imagine. So I have him on Facebook, and it's like he's not sure about it. And then, you hear about things like what's happening with Apple and the government, and I can understand, how he would be a little hesitant. So I'm mulling over, how can I open up the idea of, having, maybe a website, like maybe we can visit other websites of people in his business who are reputable. Do you have any other ideas on how to get someone to open up to technology? Because this is the one area that he's really slow and is very reluctant. Do you understand my question?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and this is something that challenges me every day, because like I said, we do the other side of our company is technology solutions. So we're doing computer repair, and we have our occasional people, older generation in here asking about Facebook and stuff, and so we do see that a lot. Those that are reluctant to try out technology, and those that are trying and just don't quite understand it. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. The biggest thing that I can say as far as somebody that's not sure about having a website is that marketing is so much into a digital age right now that people trust things on Facebook and trust things, as crazy as that sounds, people trust things on Facebook and on websites more than, radio ads or TV ads and stuff like that. It's just that's where this age is moving. And so just to get them to understand that that's where people are going to start looking for products and resources is kind of the first step.
Okay. The other question I have is we're dealing with a lot of people on the internet who are, maybe they have a business and they're not selling things that are really good. We have a quality product, but then we're competing with people that are selling, items that, if they're good, they would cost several $100s, but they're selling them for $33, And so, I don't know, it's just hard to, compete with people out there who have great websites, but who sell basically bad stuff. So that's another issue, but, that's what we have to compete with right now. It's kind of a shame, but.
Yeah, and I agree that that's hard to, portray through a website, because anybody can look good on paper, basically, or look good on a website. So, it's just, gaining the people's trust and really showing them that you have a quality product over those people. And, that can come down to, the way you portray yourself on your website, as far as your content and sharing your story and really marketing your product.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Kendall, I have a question.
Okay.
This is Monica out of Juanita at Exceptional Prints, and I was just wondering, what kind of maintenance do you need to perform to keep your website current? As far as updates, is that just your plugins? And then also to keep your website on page 1 in your search engines.
As far as updates and everything, like I mentioned earlier with the hacking and stuff, is that there's always new plugins and new versions coming out. you have to be kind of careful when you're updating things that it's not going to make another part of your website not work correctly. So I'm not the technical person that does these updates and everything, so I'm probably not the best to explain it to you, but in a short version, there always is things to update on a site. For the most part, they're typically pretty easy to do, but sometimes it requires, a designer or developer to help you make those updates. And I'm not saying that it requires you to do a whole new web design, like your web redesign or anything like that. It might be something that, you just need them to take a look for an hour and clean things up for you.
Okay, thank you.
And was there a second part to that question? Because I forgot if there is.
It was how to keep your website on page 1 in the search engines.
That is a tricky question. Are you familiar with Google Google AdWords?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so that's kind of
is that just kind of your keywords, making sure your keywords are kind of fresh?
Yeah, well, that's the first thing you can do is, when you're tagging your website and making sure that you have appropriate keywords tagged on your actual website. But then if you want to take it a step further, then that's when you can use Google AdWords paid advertising, and that is done through a auction process. Basically, you're placing a bid to get your ad or your website higher up on that search results.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions?
This is a follow-up to my previous question about hosting on our existing server.
Mm-hmm.
And I see on WordPress that we can use our existing domain name, and but the option is it says to map it for $13 a year. Can you explain that a little bit?
I'm not entirely sure what you're asking, Heidi. Does that maybe you're a better person to answer that question? Does that make sense to you? Maybe not. Maybe Heidi's not on anymore.
Sorry, I was muted. I was talking. I was going to say, I'm trying to find what you're looking at. Could you repeat your question?
Sure. I got on WordPress.com and selected the new site, or build a new site, and then it wants you to pick a domain name. And if you have an existing domain name, it says that it will map it for $13 a year. Can you explain the Mapit process? Is that just the way that they recoup their money for hosting a free site?
Basically. So it's normally when you buy a WordPress site, it will put WordPress dot whatever your domain, whatever your name of the site is .com. So they keep their own branding in your URL. So the $13, that you'd be paying would be paying just so that it's only your domain name. It takes out that advertising for them. It takes the WordPress part out of your URL. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Is it possible, because sometimes you can forward different domains to a single domain. If you have multiple domain names, you can forward them to one site.
Right.
Can you use their WordPress domain and forward it to your main domain?
You'd have to go the other way around. So when they typed in your main domain, it would have to go to the WordPress site since that's what you're building it on, unfortunately.
Okay, yep, I'm tracking, yep.
Yep. Otherwise, they're going to make you pay for it. If you want to go the other way, where it's sending them specifically to your domain, that's what's showing.
Okay.
Then you have to pay. But that's only if you build your website on WordPress.
Correct. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Heidi, for chiming in there.
And so, Kendall, with your particular company, if you build the site on WordPress and then turn that over to your customer, is there an annual fee once you've done the build to keep that or to route that new web page to their existing domain?
Mm-hmm. So yes and no. It kind of depends on the client's preference. Some of our clients come in and they've already purchased their domain and already purchased their hosting, or they host with another company of their preference. And so basically we'll build the site for the design fee that we agree upon. And if they want to host and pay for their own domain, that's fine. And so then that means they don't pay anything to us after that point. Or we do have the option to manage their domain, basically pay their annual fee for and charge them separately. And so we manage their domain and manage their hosting for them. So we recommend that just because we're tracking that information for them and making sure their site doesn't go down. And when it does go down, we support it. So we have both options. So it's completely up to the client's preference.
Your hosting fees and registered domain annual fees, are those available on your website?
The pricing or
yes.
What?
Yes, sorry.
No, I would have to, I give everybody a quote for that information, so you would need to contact me directly to get that pricing.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up then. Thank you so much, Kendall, for all this wonderful information.
Thank you, everybody. And, anybody feel free to email me or contact us through our website.
Yep, and I will be sending out your contact information to everybody if that's all right.
Perfect.
Awesome. And for the rest of you, if you enjoyed this presentation, I'd also like to invite you to attend our next presentation. Our next third Thursday training is going to feature Steve Molly from Molly Marketing, and he is going to be teaching us how to make sure we're getting the most bang for our buck when we spend our marketing dollars. So that will be on, March 17th. It is again from noon to 1, and it is a free call-in training. If you're looking for more in-depth training on websites, social media, anything like that, I do strongly encourage you to attend our Market Tech Conference. It's going to be April 26th and 27th. We're bringing in a lot of big names. We've got Brian Fanzo is coming in to talk about a newer social media platform owned by Twitter. It's called Periscope. I think it's going to be huge. We're also bringing in some marketing execs from The Buckle and Runza. So if you have a chance, registration for Market Tech is open right now at markettechconference.org. And so I'd strongly encourage you to check that out. Again, if you're interested.
Heidi, wait a second. And I think Kendall might be there. So if anyone wants to see her in person, we're hoping there'll be a number of website designers there. So if you want to meet with someone individually, face-to-face, we have over 20 exhibitor booths lined up. So it'll be a really good opportunity to meet a lot of those people face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the early bird registration, Heidi. They get in really cheap by March 31st. So
yeah, register early.
Yes.
There is also a discount for Market Tech if you are a Grow Nebraska member. If you haven't already joined, let me know if you're interested in joining. Again, thank you all for attending. Big thank you to our sponsor again. Perfect. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
All right. Thanks, Heidi. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi.